To this now, with some municipalities dysfunctional, with serious governance issues, concerns about a lack of services continue to mount. Residents are often left feeling frustrated when they do not receive the services that they are paying for, while municipalities, in some cases, become just as frustrated when some residents don't pay their bills. At times, residents who struggle to receive the service they pay for often contemplate withholding the rates to force the municipality's hand. But the law doesn't seem to condone this. So what can residents do? Let's speak to Dr. Tim Maake, who's a local government specialist. Dr. Maake, let me thank you so much for your time this evening. So we're seeing a number of residents who are contemplating, and you and I have spoken about this before, that they want to withhold their rates, they want to put them in a trust, and it seems to be something that some residents continue to contemplate if they're not receiving services. So let's again emphasize this for them. Can they do this? Is it within the law?
Good evening to you, Bongi, and good evening to your viewers. I think firstly, let's put it in context that it is common cause that municipalities have got a legal duty to provide basic services to the community. But equally important, as they do that, they must make sure that it is done in a sustainable manner. That is in terms of the provisions of the Constitution, specifically Section 152. Which talks to the objects of local government. But equally important, Section 229 of the Constitution also mandates or empowers municipalities to charge for services that it renders to the community. And that is also augmented by Section 98 and Section 102 of the Municipal Systems Act, which places an obligation to municipalities to collect rates and taxes for services that they've provided. Now, to answer your question, one would say no, communities do not have a right to withhold the taxes, precisely because even our courts have ventilated on this matter on several occasions. And in one instance, the courts even said that will lead into anarchy and chaos, and the courts will not be willing to promote anarchy and chaos. So in simple terms, those ratepayers associations who still harbor an intention to withhold their rates and taxes, it boils down to an unlawful conduct, and which our courts, including the Constitutional Court, has already ventilated on those kind of issues.
So what happens then if residents feel like there is a breakdown in communication with the municipality? They've been talking to them about certain issues that they have, and things simply aren't moving on the service delivery part. What rights then do they have?
Obviously, you and I would understand that our country is regulated by laws, and if you look at even the fundamental rights, it allows everyone who's not happy to approach our courts for appropriate relief, but it doesn't allow instances where people will take the law into their own hands, because by withholding, it simply means that those ratepayers will be taking the law into their own hands. You should also understand, Bongi, that where there are disputes, our laws are very clear as to what is it that needs to be done. For an example, when you read Section 102, subsection 2 of the Municipal Systems Act, it does provide for the suspension of the implementation of credit control and debt collection by the municipalities, but only when it comes to a dispute around a specific amount of money, but not a dispute which focuses on the general challenges that they might be facing within the municipality. So all what they need to do if they are aggrieved is to approach our courts after they would have had an opportunity to engage the municipalities extensively insofar as the challenges that they are facing. And that is the reason why our laws also provide for participatory democracy, and at a local government level, it is done through the establishment of a ward committee, which is chaired by the ward councillor, who has to make sure that periodically he engages with the communities on matters that affect them. So there are processes and systems that have been put in place which communities need to follow, and once they've exhausted those, they also can still approach the courts for appropriate relief rather than taking the law unto their own hands.
Now, what happens then in a case, because in some of these instances, you do have communities where the councillors are active, the councillors do have, those ward committee meetings, and they do engage with the communities. But in some of the communities, the ward councillors themselves are non-existent. They cannot be seen. The communities don't know them or struggle to even reach them. So what does a community like that do, particularly if they don't even have the means to then be able to take the municipality to court for services?
In that instance, they obviously would have a right to approach the municipal council, either through a petition, where they would insist that the municipality will need to establish the ward committees if they qualify to have ward committees. And to my knowledge, all municipalities in the country are duty bound to establish ward committees, because that becomes the link between the municipal council and the community. And in the absence of such a structure, surely there will be chaos and there will be those kind of gaps. Now, in the event the municipal council does not comply with the request by the community, then communities can then even approach the member of the executive council in their province for appropriate intervention. And if such does not work as well, then they can approach the minister of COGTA for proper intervention. And once they've exhausted all those avenues, I can assure you, Bongi, any court will be willing to hear their matter, and any court will definitely apply the provisions of the law, because it's a legal duty for municipalities to have ward committees, so as to make sure that there is a relationship between the municipal council and the communities.
All right, thank you so much for arming us with information there, and really just giving the viewers a sense of, some of what can be done and where they can then look, especially when it comes to issues around accountability. Do appreciate it. That was Dr. Tim Maake, local government specialist.